41 minutes past the hour of 8, and you're still watching Sunrise at Sea, and you're just in time for part 2 of our views, where we're going to be having a conversation about New Year resolutions. And of course, the ladies are joining me once again on this amazing panel. Now, before we get into the discussion, I would like to explain what New Year's resolutions are. And actually, according to a study, it says a New Year's resolution is a tradition or most common in Western world, but also found in the Eastern world, in which a person resolves or even decides to continue good practices, change or understand a trait or behavior, accomplish a personal goal, or otherwise improve their life at a start and a beginning of a year. So ladies, do we have New Year resolutions? But even before we get into that, are New Year resolutions important, and why?
Yes, absolutely. New Year's resolutions.
1000%.
Okay. Let me assure you, by the way. New Year's resolutions are very important because these are the guiding tips or steps towards you achieving your goals. A lot of people are like, oh, this year I want to quit alcohol, or this year I want to party less, or this year I want to be financially independent, or this year I want to do this. And then as the year goes on, you start to slowly, you know, fall off. But it's important to have New Year's resolutions, because when you set these plans for yourself and hold yourself accountable, you'll be able to actually achieve your goals, because you have to be intentional about it. And having to break certain cycles or bad habits can be very difficult. You know, for instance, the bars are opening, Some of us had promised ourselves to cut back on these enjoyments, but it's important that you keep reminding yourself and say, you know what, Sarah, we had this conversation. You know, have a conversation with yourself and say, Sarah, we had this conversation, okay? And we said that let us start, you know, slowly cutting back. So if we're doing it every weekend, now one weekend, you know, once a month, you know, go out, or at least twice a month. So yes, everybody must have New Year's resolutions.
I'll be coming back to you to ask you if some of those resolutions are actually sustainable. But how about you, Sandra? Is it important to set New Year's resolutions, and why is it important?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's quite important, because then this is a roadmap for you to get to where you want to be. Yeah. And but I feel that many people just make New Year's resolutions and then they just fall off the bandwagon. Because I feel in life, in everything, and I always say this, nail the reason you want to do something, then manage it. You can't just say, I want to do this. I want to drink less. I want to go out less. And I remember once I was listening to this pastor's sermon, Pastor Andre, and he said, how many people fall back into old habits is because they don't replace. So if, for example, you like to hang out a lot over the weekend, replace it with something else.
Different.
Yeah, replace it. Like do movie night with your family instead of going out to a bar, or just during the afternoon take up yoga, take up something, do that replacement thing. Then it will push you over time where you want to be, because many people look at the end goal, but it's your mission that drives you to your vision. Those small little things that you do each and every day to push you closer to your vision. It's the car that takes you there. You're just not going to arrive there.
Yeah.
So you have to work at it every day. Wake up, show up, do what you're supposed to do. Be relentless in your pursuit for your dream. Yeah.
I think for me, New Year's resolutions have been something that I've always set at the beginning of the year. However, I mean, if there's one thing COVID has taught me, is that things may not always go as planned. However, when it comes to setting these resolutions, I make sure, first of all, they're attainable and they're realistic, because for very many people, it might be just a formality. So like Sarah hinted on, and she said, you've got to be intentional about it. You know, you have to work towards your resolution. But also something I do is that I'm not only accountable to myself, but I also have an accountability system in place. What do I mean? I will probably tell my best friend, you know what? I have said I am going to probably quit smoking. Or I have said I'm going to make it intentional and lose a few pounds. So my person will keep calling and say, are you doing this? Are you living up to your resolutions? Are you living up to it? So Sarah, back to what you actually mentioned.
Yes.
Is this practice realistic? Or actually, when you're setting New Year resolutions, what are some of the things that you actually need to put into consideration?
If you are not comfortable with the way you've been living your life, then you need to put that into consideration. And I don't like this whole talk of COVID happened, anything can happen. I think you are just self-sabotaging and probably, yes, self-sabotaging yourself and just making excuses for not achieving those goals. Listen, life is always going to be hard. Before COVID, there was the HIV pandemic. Before COVID, there was teenage pregnancy. Before COVID, the economy crashed many times than we can count. There is always going to be something that comes up. The point is, how are you going to keep on pushing forward regardless of what comes your way? It doesn't matter. The thing is, the goal should always be the end game. I want to reach it regardless of what may happen. So it may be this pandemic, another pandemic comes, another, world tragedy happens. But are you going to keep on using that as an excuse by saying, oh, I'm going to live life as it comes, one day at a time? That's a reckless way to think. We are always going to suffer. You're going to lose loved ones. You're going to lose jobs. You're going to get sick. You're going to get broke. You're going to fall out of love. You're going to fall in love again. So it doesn't matter what the issue is, you have to reach the goal. I personally told myself I am refusing to stay beat down. Nothing is going to stand in my way. And I refuse to use any tragedy or calamity as an excuse for me to not achieve my goals. Because there are people who are thriving. What about you? There are people who are thriving through this pandemic. A lot of people have lost. Even people who are thriving have lost. People are pushing through the pain, the tears, and still achieving their goals. So yes, everything you set your mind to is attainable. It's achievable. Whatever, if you want to be president, if you want to be a pilot, if you want to be whatever it is attainable. The mere fact that you have thought it means it is possible. The mere fact that there are people who are doing it means it is possible. So what are you doing? Are you making excuses? Are you getting up, or are you getting up to, work towards it? Everything is attainable. From wanting to throw out old habits, to toxic people in your life, to, that divorce, to finding love and getting married, to having children. Everything is attainable. You have to work through it and stop making excuses. Find a way around that hump, or that pothole.
So how about you, Sandra? What are some of those things you put into consideration? I mean, I'm sure you have resolutions that you have set for 2022. So what did you put into consideration before setting them?
First of all, I have to think about my family, my setting, because I cannot set goals that will make me not spend time with my family that much time, to take me away for so much time. That's unrealistic for me. Like, it won't happen. Because you can't be in two places at the same time, and I have to consider my other responsibilities as a mom, as a wife. So I have to consider those, and to be able to fit the rest in, so that it's consistent. Otherwise, when you set goals that you can't keep up with, then there's no consistency, and then you'll just end up falling off because you get overwhelmed and everything. So for me, that's one thing that I really, really consider when I'm setting my goals.
So speaking to someone this morning who has probably set New Year resolutions, they probably set New Year resolutions for 2021 and they probably did not work out. Is there a plan B, or what would you tell them this morning? Would you be encouraging them? Would you tell them to try on and push them on to the next year? What happens if you're not able to achieve the resolutions you have set for 1 year?
I think you need to find out why you did not achieve those past resolutions. In the first place. Why? What distracted you? What made you fall off? And again, what is a priority to you? Because some people are going to say, oh, my New Year's resolution this year is to build a house, or to buy a house, or to buy a car. It's attainable, but you need to be realistic. Like, what am I doing to get that house? Am I increasing my income? Am I, equipping myself with all the information that I need to actually buy a house, or, finance a house, or whatever the case may be? Some people may be like, oh, this is the year that I want to get married, but what are you doing to achieve that goal? Are you, you know, changing bad habits? Are you grooming yourself, you know, whatever the case may be? Are you putting yourself out there to meet new people? So you need to find out why you are not able to achieve those goals, and then also find out what distracted you from not achieving those goals. And number 3, you have to set what is your priority. What is your priority? Your priorities, list them in order. What is it you want to achieve first? Okay, so whatever it may be, it could be your mental health. You want peace of mind, you know, because when we have peace, and I think that everybody should work and aspire towards having peace, you know, peace with themselves and loving themselves, because you cannot love from an empty cup. You have to love yourself much and let that love spill onto other people. So prioritize. What is some people have already achieved that peace, okay? Now they're working towards fulfilling their career objectives. So what are you doing about that? Who are you talking to? Are you putting yourself out there? Because also with work, just like finding love, you have to put yourself out there.
And you have to go to the right places.
And you have to go to the right places. Thank you. Yes.
As we wrap up this conversation, ladies, I would like to hear from each one of you. What are some of those resolutions that you have set out for 2022? Just a sneak peek into one of those, one or two of them. I'll start with you, Sandra.
I'm going to begin a course. I'm going to begin it next month.
Okay,
and
catering?
No. PR and communications.
Okay.
So I'm going to do that. I've always wanted to do it. And I'd be certified to practice PR internationally after I finish it. So I'm really looking forward to that. And something else is to get to spend more time with my family, and not just my immediate family, my husband and children, but also my extended family. Yeah, yesterday I went to see my sisters and my brother, and it was quite nice. Like we caught up, we talked about different things, and it was I felt quite enriched when I was leaving, and I want definitely to do more of that. So
interesting. How about you, Sarah?
For me, it is inner work on myself, because I realized that when I cracked the code that I had to change myself first, it made everything easier from last year. And I've said this many times on the show, like inner work, you know, finding peace, loving myself, changing my my mentality towards a lot of things. And when I started working actively and intentionally working on that, and also reading self-help books and going into therapy and just, you know, praying and having conversations with myself, it just started making everything easy. Everything started falling into place. Career started falling into place. Family started falling into place. You know, relationships started falling into place, because I was starting to just, you know, when you wake up and you feel refreshed. So that is how I've been feeling. So for me this year, I'm still continuing to work on my inner self, because I have realized with that way, everything else
flows
naturally. Just flows naturally, like no hassle. Yes.
Interesting. Well, I, for one of the things that I have resolved to work on, especially this year, is to put myself first. Now, I'm not saying this to be to brag or anything, but I am someone who has always put others' needs first before my own, because many would say I have quite a big heart, but I mean, I find peace when I make someone else happy. However, it has landed me into trouble. So I have resolved that come 2022, and this is 2022, I'm going to do things different. And how I'm going to do them different is, whatever it is, no matter the situation, I am putting my needs first. I am putting my desires first. I am putting my happiness first. As selfish as it sounds, guys, this year is my year of self-love. And also among the things that I'm actually going to look at and be intentional about is mental health. Important for me to be kind and to speak kindly and to speak into people's lives. And basically that wraps up the conversation that we had for you today on Our Views. Good morning. Well, thank you so much for being a part of Sunrise at Sea, right from the hour of 7 a.m. up to the hour of 9 a.m. But before I do say goodbye, I will allow the ladies to give their parting remarks and tell us where we can find them on their different socials. And I'll start with you, Sarah.
Okay. It's 2022. I know the years before, last year and the year before, have been very crazy for everybody, but what you should carry with yourself this year is kindness. Be kind to yourself and love people. Love yourself. It brings you so much peace. If you want to find me on social media, please DM me at ApolloSarah1 on Twitter, on Instagram, and on TikTok.
And for you, Sandra?
Well, the new year is here, and don't get overwhelmed. Like, don't overthink it, yeah? Take it one day at a time and keep on your grind, you know? You can find me on Twitter, Sandra_Corp 2020, that's 2020. And on Instagram, the same. And TikTok, Sassy_Sandy1.
Well, I, for one, all I have to say to you is be kind to yourself. Love yourselves. Love one another. Spread joy, spread love, be good. And it's the beginning of a new week. And I hope that right from the beginning, you are able to pick a thing or two, were able to leave a smile on your face. And I'm going to release you unto the world and be able to flourish as much as you can. And you can also follow me on my different social media platforms. And that is Shivan Auma 90. TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, everywhere. Otherwise, from the team and myself, goodbye and see you next time.